Hi, my name is Mitch Williams. I'm a professional magician and international award winner, and I've served as a coach and consultant to other prominent magicians, including world champion magician Johnny Ace Palmer. Evan invited me to talk today about my favorite impromptu card trick, which is actually sort of difficult for me to do because I almost never do individual tricks. I tend to do routines that consist of a series of effects that build in intensity up to some type of a climax. The reason that I tend to take that approach is because I also approach magic as an actual art form, as a performing art. And one of the best ways to do that is to base that on your character, on your personality, to make all of your expression about that interaction with the audience, about expressing your personality and connecting with the audience, so that the magic actually becomes less important than the personality expression. And the magic is actually kind of a vehicle through which you're expressing yourself. I find routines are a much better way to do that and have more theatricality about them because it kind of takes you on a journey, or at least potentially it can, so that you have something happening and then it builds on that and builds and reaches some kind of an ending. It's, I think, really like good storytelling. You know, you have a beginning, you have a middle and an end, and you're taking people on a journey through the course of this interaction together. And I also like to improvise in the sense that I craft the expression based on the audience's response and how they're interacting with me. So here's the scenario, the routine that I will generally do if I don't have the ideal situation. For example, if someone has loaned me a deck of cards and they're mixed up. The first thing I do is I take the cards and just quickly glance through the cards and say, you know, is this a complete deck? There aren't any cards missing. Are the jokers here? They're not in any special order, are they? And so on. And then I can do a quick series of cuts, and one at a time I can cut the four aces. Well, that's relatively impressive in and of itself, but it's not really magical per se, in that it's more about, you know, card control and card handling. But I have the four aces, and so I ask someone whether they prefer the red aces or the black aces. Whichever one they say, if, for example, if they say the red aces, I'll have them hold out their hand, and then I deal off, I show them and I deal off the two red aces into their hand, and they immediately change places so that I have the red aces and they have the black aces. Now something magical is taking place, and it's a little more impressive. And I say, oh, you better take all the aces, and I give them the aces. And again, I'm setting up the idea that I'm making it a little more difficult. You know, that was too easy, and so it's going to be more difficult. And I ask them to mix up the aces so that I don't know what order they're in. Again, adding another layer of difficulty. At this point, I say, you know, usually I'll have someone take a card out of the deck and put it back into the deck, and then I try to find it. But a lot of people think that when you take the card out of the deck and you put it back into the deck, that there must be some way that I can, you know, keep control of it, keep track of it. So I'm going to have you, we won't actually take the card out of the deck. I'm going to have you look at a card in the deck, but we won't take it out of the deck. And so, again, I'm adding another layer of difficulty. And a lot of how I express this really depends on how they're responding to me. So a lot of it can be improvisational. So I will riffle through and ask them to say stop and have them peek at a card. And I can allow them to change their mind if they want. So they really do have a free choice. Let's say they peek the four of hearts. I say, you know, make sure you remember your card because now it's lost in the deck somewhere. And I tell the person with the aces to mix up the aces, but then take out the ace that has the same suit as the card that they peeked at in the deck, and just show it to everyone else, but not to let me see it. So they do that, and then I tell them to put it back with the aces and mix them up again so that they're not even sure themselves what order they're in. So they do that. I hand them the deck, so they're holding the deck, and I take the aces. Now, I then say that I'm going to try to find the ace that matches the card that they peeked at without even looking at the cards. And so I go through them, and again, I can play this up depending on how they respond to things, and try to get them involved. Are you concentrate on the card? I take one of the aces and I put it aside and I lay it down. So I've committed myself. And then I show them the aces and ask if I got the right one. So I show them the aces, and of course I got the right one. Again, something a little more impressive. There's no way I could know what order the aces were in, or which one I was getting, or the card that they had peeked. And then I say, but let's take this a step further. I say, what was the card that you peeked at in the deck? And they tell me. I pick up the ace that I had set aside, which in this case apparently would have been the ace of hearts, and I slowly reveal that it is their peeked at card, which should have been in the deck that they're now holding. And so I've got a very strong climax there. Now, at this point, they think I'm done, but I'm really not. And so it's really important that I direct the focus of their attention at this point. So I have to grab their attention back after that first climax. So what I do is I say, but the really impressive part, the really impossible part is when I take your card and I wave it like this, and it changes back to the ace. And boom, I've got another climax. I say, but I could have sworn that that card was the 4 a second ago. Another climax. And I say, but it couldn't have been the 4. And I take it and I put it back into the deck because that's the one that I always keep inside my pocket. I reach in and I take their card out of my pocket. So I've reached a climax, and then boom, 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 1, 2, 3, I top it and I top it again, and something more impressive. And when you can routine your magic in this way so that you reach a climax and then reach another climax, and you've got a beginning, a middle, and end, and it's a story. It takes them on an entire experience. It can be very, very, very powerful. So I highly recommend this approach to magic, and explore. It's a lot of fun.